Hello everybody, Gliderman here. So today we're taking a quick look at Blender. So right off the bat, Blender is a 3D modeling program. Now you may be wondering what a 3D modeling program is. Well, basically, it allows you to design 3D things, or three-dimensional things, in a little environment here that we have on your computer. So it's a free and open source program. So that means that you can go to blender.org and download it for Mac, Linux, or Windows. And you can also change it if you feel that's what you want to do, because it's open source. So right now, what I'm doing is I'm holding down middle click and moving my mouse around on the trackpad. And you can see this is orbiting around this little environment here in the 3D space. I recommend using a mouse with a middle mouse button and also with left click and right click. It'll make the interface a lot easier. So in the middle, surrounded by this little orange border, is a simple cube, and this is the startup scene that you get started off with. So the little orange border is simply indicating that that is selected. And scrolling the mouse wheel in and out will zoom. And so over here, this is a lamp. And you can see it's off of the floor there. Now if we zoom out a little bit, you can see over here there's a camera. And basically the little black arrow is saying this side is up, and it's pointed at the cube there. So you may not have zoom to cursor enabled by default, but that's pretty simple to adjust in user preferences in the file menu here and then there. Actually, I'll show you. So we simply go to interface and just zoom to mouse position. And then you probably want to click Save User Settings. It's very handy. It allows me to zoom out from there and then zoom in on something else there. So, now, what can Blender do? Blender can do a number of things. Primarily, it is used for 3D modeling and rendering. And rendering is like animated movies and that kind of thing. So using that camera, the lights, and more and more complicated shapes, you can get really good looking animations out of it. If you're looking for an example, the Blender Foundation has released a number of highlight reels that showcase the Blender engine. Now if you hold the Shift key and then you click and hold middle mouse, you get the pan tool. And this can be useful for looking along an object. So if let's just say I'm zoomed in really close, I can hold Shift, hold middle click, and move my mouse to the left and pan around this object. I can then let go of Shift and then press middle mouse and then move my mouse cursor around to orbit around. So, basically, each one of these grids is one Blender unit on a side. A Blender unit is typically a meter, as in that's what you probably refer to it as most commonly, but the reason that they just call it the Blender unit is so that you can design whatever scale. You could say that that's a millimeter, let's just say. So, there's also the imperial system as well, where you can convert it to feet and inches and yards and that kind of thing. So let's get into the interface. So you'll notice if you left click anywhere, you're going to see this little cursor thing has moved from the center here to someplace else. This is not really needed too much, especially when you're first starting out. Basically, this is going to be where all new objects are placed. So if I wanted a new object over there, I would click that there and then add my new object. For now, you can just press Shift and then C, and that'll recenter your view and recenter the 3D cursor. So let's zoom back in. You're going to see these red, green, and blue handles, and those correspond to the X, Y, and Z axes that you can see down in this corner here, where Z is up, Y is this way, or side to side, X is front to back. So if you left click and drag on the tips of these, you can see that it moves along that axis, and that axis only. And escape will cancel that current movement that you're doing. And same thing with Z, and same thing with X. You can also grab this little white circle and move it around like this. However, you're going to notice that I really can't tell where I'm placing it, and so that's not a very good use. If you want to undo it anytime, you can just hit Control and then Z. Pretty standard across most interfaces. I believe Command Z also works if you're on a Mac. Yes, it does. So that is a basic cube there, and we got our camera there, and our lamp there. Now, let's see if we can render something. So you're going to see we've got our camera here. I think I forgot to mention this. Right click will select. If you were just using left click all day, and there's a lot of clicking that you do in Blender, your fingers would eventually start to hurt. So they put the select key as right click. So I've right clicked the camera here, and you can see I've also got those X, Y, and Z axes to move. And let's go to the view menu, and then we're going to click camera here. So we're going to go view and then camera, and it's going to pop us right into this mode. So this little clear area here that isn't darkened like out here is what the camera will see when it renders. So we can just zoom in a little bit there, and then to do a basic render, we're just going to go up to the render menu, and then we're going to click render image, and bam, there we go. We got a basic cube rendered out. And you're going to see over here in our properties, this is at 1080p at 50%. So basically that's going to be your image size settings. So if I wanted that at 100%, I would then change that to 100 by clicking and dragging in there, or clicking and then typing it. Most things you can drag around, as you can see. We just type 1080 back into there. And also, some things come with a little arrows to adjust them there. So let's render that again. And you're going to see this is a lot bigger, and it also takes a little bit longer as there's more to render. Scroll wheel will zoom in and out here, and middle mouse will pan like that. So now, let's get back to our 3D editor area. So let's press escape, and you're going to see we're right back where we left off. So let's say we wanted to add another light. So we're just going to go down to this add menu, and then we're going to go up to lamp, and then we're going to make this a point light, just like this. So you're going to see that it spawned at the origin there, and you can't see it just yet because the lamp is pretty small, as you can kind of see with that one. So let's drag on this green handle to move it over there, and then the blue handle to drag it up. And there we go. So now let's render that again. And you're going to see our cube is a little bit more illuminated because it's got a lamp up here and a lamp up here. So let's press escape to close that. Now if you're wondering how to add in another cube, that's pretty simple as well. We can just go to the add menu, go to mesh, and then add a cube. And you're going to see that it's actually perfectly intersecting with the other one, which is why you're getting the weird patterns on there. So if we just drag this out and then drag it this way, and then we can render that again, you're going to see that there's going to be 2 cubes. So you can see from this lamp up here, we've got the shadow cast onto the other cube. So let's press escape, and so we can just press X, and you're going to see that a little menu pops up asking you if it's going to be okay to delete. So X is the shortcut for the deleting there. And then you can just left click that, and that'll delete your cube. And note that was selected. Let's also do the same thing with this lamp. So just right click, and then press X, and then left click delete. Now there is also another command that is very useful, and that's the select all command. So we're just going to press A, and you're going to see now everything is selected here. Everything has the little orange border going around it. And this is useful for A, grabbing everything and moving everything at the same time, and also for deselecting when you press A again. So just press A, and there it goes. Now everything is not selected. So let's just say I had the cube selected, I could press A, and it deselects. Now there's a few commands that are going to be very useful, and you'll probably want to memorize them. The first one is S, which stands for scale. You can see with that cube selected, I just pressed S, and it's scaling, just like that. And it's based on proportions. So if my cursor is really close to the center there, that's going to be considered scale of like 1. So if I move it twice the distance, it's going to, or move it the same distance away from the center, away from the original point, it's going to get twice the size, and it's going to quickly and grow ridiculously large. And just press escape to cancel that. So if my cursor was over here, this is 1 unit. So I have to move my cursor really far in order for it to scale to twice the size. And you can see when my cursor goes off of the screen, it wraps around. So you can see I have much finer control with the scale. The next one is going to be G, which is grab. You can kind of guess, you know, the S is scale, G is grab, and then there's going to be one more very similar to that. And you can see that's moving it around. So the next one is going to be R for rotate. So just press R, and you can see I can spin the cube around. So if I just click there, we can render that out real quick. And you can see we got our cube rotated. So let's press escape to exit, and we'll undo that with Control Z or Command Z. Now, you may wish to lock it to one way of rotating or scaling or grabbing or whatever. And those are the X, Y, and Z keys, which are literally X, Y, and Z. So let's just say I'm scaling. So I press S to scale. You can see I'm scaling in every single dimension. So if I just wanted to scale on the Z, I would just simply press Z. And so now you can see I'm only scaling it up and down. If I wanted it to scale on the X, I would press X. If I wanted it to scale on Y only, I'd press Y. So just like that, I have complete control over which way it's scaling. Same thing applies with the grab. So you can see here, just pressing G, I'm moving it around willy-nilly. So if I press Z, I can move it strictly up and down, X is strictly front and back, and Y is side to side. So press escape to cancel that. And then same thing with rotate. So I'm rotating in whatever way it feels like it's rotating. Z rotates it about that axis. X rotates it about this axis. And Y rotates it about that axis. And you can see basically it's going, my cursor is going around the center point, is telling it what angle to be at. So also the further away I am, the more control I have, because the more the cursor needs to move. So that about wraps it up for this quick look at Blender. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll probably be putting out some more tutorials on using Blender soon. So if you're interested, let me know in the comments down below, and I'll see you next time. Bye!